The Israeli-Palestinian conflict is one of the most protracted and emotionally charged conflicts in modern history. For over 7 decades, it has been a source of immense suffering and instability, defying countless attempts at resolution. At the heart of this conflict lies the Gaza Strip, a densely populated Palestinian territory that has become a tragic symbol of the human cost of this enduring struggle. This essay delves into the complexities of the Israel-Palestine conflict, focusing on the plight of Gaza, its tumultuous history, and the challenges in forging a path towards a just and lasting peace. The conflict is rooted in competing claims to the same land, with both Israelis and Palestinians asserting historical and religious ties to the region. Decades of violence, mistrust, and political deadlock have left both sides deeply scarred, with the international community grappling to find a solution that addresses the grievances and aspirations of both parties. To comprehend the current situation in Gaza, it is crucial to understand the historical backdrop against which it unfolds. The seeds of the conflict were sown in the late 19th and early 20th centuries with the rise of competing nationalisms. Jewish Zionism advocating for a Jewish state in Palestine and Palestinian nationalism seeking self-determination in their homeland. The 1917 Balfour Declaration, a British document expressing support for a Jewish national home in Palestine, further inflamed tensions. Following World War II, the United Nations proposed partitioning Palestine into 2 states, one Jewish and one Arab, with Jerusalem as an international zone. This plan, however, was rejected by the Arab leadership, and in 1948 Israel declared independence. The ensuing war led to the displacement of hundreds of thousands of Palestinians, an event known as the Nakba, or catastrophe in Arabic. This event continues to shape the narrative of the conflict, with the issue of Palestinian refugees remaining a major point of contention. The Gaza Strip, a narrow coastal enclave bordering Israel and Egypt, has been a focal point of the conflict since 1967. After the Six-Day War that year, Israel occupied Gaza, along with the West Bank and East Jerusalem. The occupation brought about significant changes, including the establishment of Israeli settlements and military infrastructure, which Palestinians viewed as encroaching on their land and rights. In 2005, Israel unilaterally withdrew its settlers and military from Gaza. However, it maintained control over Gaza's borders, airspace, and territorial waters, effectively keeping the territory under a tight blockade. This control, coupled with Egypt's closure of its border with Gaza, has had a devastating impact on the lives of Palestinians living there. The blockade, in place for over 18 years, has crippled Gaza's economy and plunged its population into a humanitarian crisis. The restrictions on the movement of people and goods have made it extremely difficult for Palestinians in Gaza to access essential services, such as healthcare, education, and employment opportunities. The blockade has severely limited the import of construction materials, hindering the rebuilding of infrastructure destroyed in successive conflicts. The economy has been decimated, with unemployment rates soaring and poverty endemic. The people of Gaza are effectively trapped, their lives and livelihoods held hostage by a complex web of political and security concerns. Section 5. Hamas militant power in Gaza. Adding to the complexity of the situation in Gaza is the rise of Hamas, an Islamist militant group that seized control of the territory in 2007. Hamas, considered a terrorist organization by Israel, the United States, and the European Union, has engaged in armed struggle against Israel, launching rockets and carrying out attacks. Israel argues that its blockade is necessary to prevent Hamas from obtaining weapons and to protect its citizens from attacks. However, critics argue that the blockade collectively punishes the entire population of Gaza and amounts to collective punishment, which is illegal under international law. Hamas's control of Gaza has also complicated the relationship between the Palestinian Authority, the internationally recognized representative of the Palestinian people, and Hamas. The Palestinian Authority, which governs the West Bank, has been sidelined in Gaza, further fragmenting Palestinian politics and hindering efforts to achieve a unified Palestinian position in negotiations with Israel. Section 6. Escalations of the 2020s, a deadly spiral. The year 2021 witnessed another major escalation in violence between Israel and Hamas. An 11-day conflict in May 2021 resulted in significant casualties and destruction in Gaza. The situation deteriorated further in October 2023 when Hamas launched a surprise attack on Israel, killing over 1,200 people, including civilians, and taking hostages. Israel responded with a large-scale military operation in Gaza, resulting in over 46,000 Palestinian deaths, the majority of whom were civilians, including women and children. The conflict also displaced nearly 90% of Gaza's population, exacerbating the already dire humanitarian crisis. These recent escalations underscore the volatility of the situation and the devastating consequences of the unresolved conflict. The cycle of violence, punctuated by periods of relative calm, has had a profound psychological impact on both populations, deepening mistrust and making the prospect of a peaceful resolution seem increasingly elusive. Section 7. Humanitarian Crisis. Life on the Precipice. The people of Gaza are facing a dire humanitarian crisis. The healthcare system is on the verge of collapse, with hospitals lacking essential medicines and equipment. The water supply is largely contaminated, posing significant health risks. The education system has been severely disrupted, depriving children of their right to education. The recent escalations have compounded these existing challenges, leaving the population in a state of profound vulnerability. The international community has responded with humanitarian aid, but the scale of the crisis requires a sustained and coordinated effort to address the underlying causes of the conflict and alleviate the suffering of the Palestinian people. Section 8. Future Prospects Between Hope and Despair. The future of Gaza hangs precariously between hope and despair. The two-state solution, once considered the most viable path to peace, seems increasingly distant amidst the escalating violence and deepening mistrust. The international community's failure to hold both sides accountable for violations of international law has further complicated the situation. Despite the challenges, there are glimmers of hope. Civil society organizations on both sides continue to work tirelessly to promote dialogue and understanding. International pressure, though often inadequate, remains a crucial tool to push for a just and lasting resolution. Ultimately, achieving a sustainable peace will require political will, courageous leadership, and a willingness from both sides to make painful compromises for the sake of a shared future. Section 9. Conclusion: The Long Road to Peace. The conflict in Gaza is a microcosm of the broader Israeli-Palestinian conflict, a complex and deeply entrenched struggle with far-reaching consequences. The people of Gaza, caught in the crossfire of this enduring conflict, deserve a life of dignity, security, and self-determination. The international community has a moral obligation to work towards a just and lasting peace that ensures the rights and freedoms of both Israelis and Palestinians. The path to peace will be long and arduous, requiring empathy, understanding, and a commitment to dialogue and compromise. The alternative, continued violence, suffering, and instability, is not an option. It is time for a renewed international effort to break the cycle of violence and create the conditions for a just and lasting peace in the region.